first live stream on YouTube and like through YouTube in years. But I was thinking about this and I was talking to my friend group chat about kind of what's been going on, and I actually was like, wait, maybe I should actually live stream this and talk about it because I really want to get this specific perspective out there. Because I think that during this time, I think all of our voices need to be heard on this, and I really don't know how hot of water I'm actually putting myself into by like suddenly deciding to do this. But I don't know. Maybe I'll take this down, maybe I won't keep it up, maybe they'll make me take it down, I have no fucking idea. But I'm the type of guy that likes to really question things and look into... There's a hair on my phone screen, hang on. I like to look into things from all angles and just question everything. And, you know, the first point that I want to say is, before I get into like the meat of the nothing burger that was given to us over the past few months about this whole case, is I want to kind of have a statement towards like the whole left versus right kind of thing. So for starters, I voted for Trump in 2020 and in 2024, despite not looking like the type of person that would vote for Trump. But it's because I'm a free thinking person that kind of just puts everything together and goes, okay, who's the best option here? And obviously he was the better option by a long shot, you know, but that's a completely huge sidestep right there. But I wanted to express something that I notice a lot of people have been saying throughout the years, is that the Make America Great Again movement, that Trump is like the trailblazer of, the creator of, and whatnot, that left-wing liberal people and, you know, Democrats and stuff have always said MAGA is a cult. And this latest blunder actually completely proves that wrong, because I would say 95 to 98% of MAGA people are pissed about this. Like, everybody on the right that is in the right mind, like anybody who's, you know, like not... Anybody that's like not mentally gone, genuinely is like, what the hell is actually going on right now? That, you know, basically, MAGA is not a cult. And this whole thing with the Epstein files completely proves that we're not a fucking cult, you know, because when he fucks up, we call it out as such. And, you know, I love that because it kind of just like slaps in the face of all the extreme like left-wing people, that there's a lot of people commenting right now, but I have ADHD, it's distracting me. So I need to like get my point across. But you know, I wasn't expecting anybody to click on this and like view it, but it's more so that it can be documented for later purposes. You know, because this is going to be long. This is going to be very long. I don't know how long this is going to be, but MAGA's not a cult, because we're pissed at Trump. We're genuinely pissed at Trump right now because he specifically... That person is spamming a comment right now. People are pissed at Trump right now because the whole administration, they dropped the ball, because the Epstein files were supposed to be released. They were supposed to be revealing the names of the people. And it's weird because Pam Bondi circumvented her own thing. She said, okay, it's disgusting, I've already read through the stuff, and, you know, it's on my desk, and I'm waiting for it to be signed, like signing the stuff out so that I can get it out to the public. Then she says, it's basically child porn, we're not releasing child porn to the public. Nobody's asking for that. Nobody wants to see the stuff about the victims. Nobody's wanting to know the names of the victims. Yeah, see, that's the thing. I'm on the fence because people are saying he's not. And another thing that I feel like people aren't really saying is if he was on the list, I feel like the Democrats would have already like used that to bring him down many years ago. But I wouldn't actually say that it's completely like off the table. I genuinely wouldn't say that it's impossible. And I voted for Trump, and I genuinely think there is a possibility that he actually had some type of involvement. Like, maybe he didn't do anything with any children, but maybe he did stuff with, like, adult prostitutes, or maybe, you know, has buddies who did stuff with children and he's protecting them or something. So if he's in the, because he's on the Lolita Express flight log, and apparently he didn't know what was going on the plane, so it seems like a lot of the stuff that had to do with children, Trump has said he had no idea it was happening. So if anything, if Trump is on the list, a lot of people go, oh my god, so he's a pedophile, oh my god, oh. I don't think that's the case. I think that if anything, he was probably just doing things to grown prostitute, like women, or women that were being like forced and stuff. What would I do if I would thank you and maybe draw you something? I don't know. I'm an artist, so what I mean by on a plane is that Jeffrey Epstein had many private jets, many planes, and stuff like that. I'm like one of those weird conspiracy people, actually. This is kind of like the first time that I'm coming out and saying this stuff on my channel, because I mostly do like gaming videos and doll videos and stuff. But I've been like sitting and slow cooking my perspective on this for many, many years. And basically, Lolita Express was one of Epstein's many planes that he would basically take politicians and celebrities and other elites and stuff like that to take them to his islands, to his parties, and Trump was on specifically Lolita Express. And he apparently had no idea what was happening with the minors that were on the boat, but he didn't think it was weird. Like, you don't look at that and go, why are there that many children on this plane? It's kind of weird, isn't it? It's just suspicious. Because apparently a lot of people don't talk about the fact that Trump specifically ended his friendship with Jeffrey Epstein in 2006 before the law enforcement started going after Epstein in 2007, where he... Thank you for subscribing. I haven't gotten a subscriber in years. Probably because I don't make any goddamn content. A lot of happenings in my life that stopped me from uploading, so... but this is just a willy-nilly live streaming in my room while I'm packing up my stuff to be, like, moving and stuff. But as I was saying, because I'm a very, like, politically centered person. I don't identify as a Republican, even though I did vote for Trump. I don't identify as really any kind of thing like that. I'm more of, like, an independent that sort of takes things from both sides and goes, okay, that makes sense, okay, that makes sense, you know, and basically kind of just put together my own perspective, my own opinion. Because I'm not a sheep and I don't really want to adhere to a specific system. But I'm disappointed. My point is because I'm getting all over the place, but I'm disappointed in this. But I know that Trump is definitely not on the list in terms of being a pedophile, because he cut Jeffrey Epstein off in 2006 when Jeffrey Epstein was at his Mar-a-Lago party and he was found copping a feel on some people's kids. Some underage people that were there with their families and stuff, and he got pissed at him and told him to leave, to fuck off, and never come back to Mar-a-Lago ever again, and he hadn't been in contact with him ever since. And Trump is even on camera years after that, even when he was running in 2015 for the 2016 election, he was even like, yeah, you know, these other people, they're in hot water with the Jeffrey Epstein island and stuff, you know, and I didn't really realize he was that shady of a guy, and so I guess he got duped. But Trump is at least on some flight logs and some client list stuff for adults anyway, so he was probably doing stuff to adult women. But in terms of being a pedophile, I highly doubt it. Trump is just not He just doesn't seem like that kind of guy, but we definitely know that he has a thing for like very attractive adult women. So I wouldn't put it past him. He's probably on the lists for adult women. But the thing is that Elon Musk knew Ghislaine Maxwell. So for him to go, Trump's on the list, that's why it's not out. Yeah, well, you're on the list too. So what did you all you did was actually just pivot a spotlight to you to see people then start researching and digging up like dirt on, you, Elon Musk, to find that you were friends with Ghislaine Maxwell. And she was actually the center of the whole operation because she was actually the one that got Jeffrey Epstein into that whole business in the first place. Like, in that specific vein. It is scary. It is really scary to know that, like, the world is ran by satanic pedophiles. But it's not a fear-mongering thing either. There's more of us sane people that would never do anything like that to a child than there are of, like, these elite people. They have the money, they have the power, they can do anything at the drop of a needle, they have technology we've never heard of before. They could start World War III tomorrow, but we're the people. There are billions of people around the globe in every country combined that do not stand for this, that are like, what the fuck, oh my god, you're doing this to children, what is wrong with you, you're even doing this to adults, what's wrong with you? So there are more people that are against that type of lifestyle. So I guess, it is scary to know that our leaders in power are some of the most disgusting individuals that have ever lived. But the comforting thought that allows you to sleep good at night is knowing that most of us are not like that. We're normal people. We just want to go to work, make money, provide for our children, provide for our pets, have shelter, eat good food, stuff like that. We're just, even if we're weirdos, because I'm definitely a weirdo, I'm a very weird individual, but it's not bad kind of weird, weird's not bad. It's when you're doing stuff to kids, the adrenochrome sacrificing thing and like the child sacrifice stuff and whatnot that had been happening for thousands of years. This is an ancient spiritual battle. And they've been inventing technology that is way beyond our comprehension. And it's sad. But I do have hope, because I just don't understand why the left seems to be like, oh, why is MAGA so obsessed with the Epstein list? Because we care. We care about kids. We don't want people to be trafficked and snatched off the streets and never see their parents ever again. They have, like, DNA cloning sites underground in these islands and stuff. Like, what do you think was happening, really? There's victims who have come forward telling their stories, and some of them have even disappeared for speaking up and talking about the fact that underneath these islands that Epstein had, they were extracting DNA from victims and using that to clone them to create human farms so that they could harvest adrenochrome. I mean, it's not even a conspiracy theory. If you dig enough into the research, you can then find out that they even clone people just for experimentations, like things similar to MK Ultra and MK. What's that other one? There's another MK, because there's MK Ultra and then there's another MK something, and all the different governmental things. I mean, think about COVID. It's probably going to censor my video now because I said COVID, whatever. But, like, all the different things that have been happening around the world, who do you think they were testing that on? They're not just testing on animals. They're testing on human beings in these underground dungeons and stuff like that. It's not a crackpot conspiracy theory, because most MAGA people are saying some of the same stuff. It's not a cult, because now MAGA is actually like, is MAGA going to leave Trump behind? Like, are we going to build up MAGA to be, like, what it's supposed to be? Because That's the thing. What is the future of the MAGA movement? Because we seem to be at a crossroads right now where Pam Bondi and Dan Bongino, whatever you pronounce that guy's name, and Kash Patel have all fucked up greatly with this whole thing. The fact that it was in a few months ago, they had these right-wing influencers come to the White House and had these little pamphlets and dancing around like, we got the Epstein files, ooh. Like some weird, seeming like it was a fucking Biden administration type, like, TikTok event. It felt like it was still the Biden administration when they came out. I was like, am I in the Twilight Zone right now? This doesn't do anything. This doesn't help anything. They had these influencers flaunting around these like pamphlets that said Epstein Files Volume 1, and it's just like, then Pam Bondi comes out and says that the Epstein files don't exist and there is no flight logs and he did kill himself, even though his autopsy shows he died via strangulation. So when you put all those things together, it's a cover-up. I don't know why the sudden shift happened, but I'm pretty sure that there was either some threats going on in the background, the Israeli involvement, and I'm not anti-Jew, by the way. It's not anti-Semitic to point out that their government officials that they've had throughout history are not good people. I don't have a problem with Jews. Because they're not the ones doing it. It's like saying you hate Chinese people because the Chinese Communist Party that is their government created COVID. You don't hate Chinese people unless you're stupid, you know, like, because I mean, not saying you guys, but just people in general. You'd have to be an idiot to then hate an entire demographic of people just because their elites are fucked up people. So I'm not a Jew hater. I have no problem with Jews, at least, you know, the normal people that go throughout their daily lives and just live. You know, that'd be like saying you have to have a problem with Amish people. Like, it doesn't make any sense because they didn't do anything. Jewish citizens of Israel did not do anything. It's their government, and their government has done a lot of messed up things, and they are the lead operationers of some of the most fucked up things that have happened in the past 100 years. But it's even ancient too. Their officials, their high-ranking officials, thousands of years ago, are the ones that dragged Jesus out there and fucking stoned him and crucified him on the cross because he was trying to help people and was speaking the truth and was challenging the system that existed at the time. Jesus was a martyr. Jesus was a hero. And he didn't die for our sins. He was murdered by people that didn't want him speaking the truth. The memes that say, oh, they hated Jesus because he spoke the truth. That's exactly what happened. If Jesus existed in modern day, he would be called a conspiracy theorist. He would be called an insane, psychotic conspiracy theorist. And Jesus was a great man because he spoke the truth. You know, I am a Jesus defender. I will defend... That's a hill I'm going to die on. You know, I will defend Jesus and his right to have been able to live super strongly. And it was the Jews in power at the time that had him killed. It was a sacrifice ritual, and he didn't get to finish his job, is basically what happened, because he dare spoke the truth. We're seeing that in modern day right now, where they are threatening to end people if they speak the truth. And it's not even just about the Israeli government intelligences and stuff like that that are necessarily part of this. It's everything. Every system, every government, whether they are a conservative or a liberal, everybody's in on it. Whether they did stuff with children or not depends on the person. But they're all in on it, at least the money laundering scheme part of it. Every single official that has a high-ranking power in our hierarchy of our current system for a very long time, at least 100 years or longer, because bloodlines, if you track the bloodlines of all these people, it kind of ends up leading you to those old empires. If you trace these hierarchies ever heard of a Nepo baby? It's when someone's born into a wealthy family where they're born into privilege and they automatically are able to just do whatever they want and go to the richest private colleges and stuff like that and be able to like fuel their career. Instead of having to do it grassroots, they got it through handouts because they were born into a rich and powerful family. Our elites that are in power right now all over the world are all generations and generations of Nepo babies, where they are born into that hierarchy and they just continue the cycle. So if you follow the Trump bloodline, if you follow the Clinton bloodline, if you start following all these different bloodlines, the Kennedys and, the British family bloodlines and so many more bloodlines that have been in power, you can see that it is like a family kind of thing that leads you back to their ancestors also being in positions of power. It is a multi-generational position of power that is passed down, but it is displayed in a way like a movie where they act like they fought for it. They act like they had nothing. They act like they were a poor person that had nothing and they had to build it up. But then if you dig on their family tree enough, you'll end up seeing actually there was rich people, powerful people that were contributing to their legacy. And that's the part that people don't talk about when they talk about the Epstein thing and the Diddy thing even. Diddy's handler that taught him to be a predator like that, like the things that happened with Justin Bieber and so many other victims and stuff like that at these freak-offs, at the all-white parties and the blood sacrifice rituals and stuff that were happening, Diddy was taught by somebody who was already doing it. So Diddy just was taught. He was the next in line to do it, and he wasn't the only one either, because you have other ones. I mean, Diddy was even grooming Usher to be doing the same thing to take after him. So there's so many different levels to this that a lot of people don't really see on a daily basis, and that's why I wanted to talk about it. And a lot of people think, oh, that sounds crazy. I know. Exactly. I'm not somebody who's going to go, I'm not crazy. I don't understand why you could think that sounds crazy, because I know that it sounds crazy. I'm very self-aware about those things to where I can understand why somebody would think the words coming out of my mouth right now are absolutely insane. Like, and why would I put myself out there and talk about this stuff? Because it's very important to understand all the different elements that are coming together to this full picture. Diddy and Epstein also knew each other. Everybody's connected into this. The Obama parties with the freak-offs and stuff, and like the Diddy vote or die thing that was going on when it was Obama running for his first term. Chrissy Teigen was asked what the craziest party she went to was, like what happened, and she was like, oh, was it the Obama one? And then Pharrell, which is a big top producer in the music industry, was like, you can't talk about that. She's like, am I gonna get in trouble? Like, it was like the worst thing she could have said live on the red carpet. Why is it red? Symbolism is the symbolism is everywhere, and they think that we're too dumb to see. Like when they do this, they're doing it for a reason. That's the Eye of Horus. That is ancient. That goes back to ancient Egypt, where they're like, we got your eye, we got your light, we stole your good from you, and now we're the ones in power. That goes back to ancient Egypt. When Horus's eye was taken, that was basically that the sun was taken. So it's a metaphor of the light and good, because now evil is going to come into power. And evil has been in power for thousands of years. When does it end? What will it take to get it to end? I have no idea. I'm not an anarchist. I don't believe that everything should crumble into anarchy. I believe that we should have some type of very strong moral ethics system that doesn't have these types of people in power. Now, I don't know what it would take to have that be achieved, because there's more good people than there are bad people. But the bad people have been bred through generations to be the ones still in power. So, I mean, it goes all over the place. Everything is connected. You know, the connections with Epstein that even Hillary Clinton had, where, you know, there's a video floating around on the dark web called Frazzle Drip, where her and another high-ranking celebrity are skinning the face of a child. And it's not AI, because this was way before AI was even a thing accessed in general public. And when it was first accessed in general public, it looked like a bunch of slop. You know, AI is pretty advanced now, but it wasn't. And this had been circulating around for many, many years before even the early stages of AI-generated content even hit the internet. So it's not AI. Hillary Clinton is even heard in the video laughing, and we don't know what happens after the footage is cut. But it leaked somehow, and it's on the dark web. And it's apparently one of the most terrifying things that anybody has ever seen of a politician. What about the Hillary erased emails and all that? People leaked some of those emails. That's why she scrambled to delete them, because it had the pizza coding. They use a secret code. Elite pedophiles, they use pizza code, where pepperoni pizza means something, or cheese pizza means something, and, you know, pineapple pizza means something. Why would they use pizza? Pizza is such a good food. Why would they do that? Here's the answer. Pizza is heavily associated with children because, you know, Chuck E. Cheese, pizza parties, stuff like that, because it's a good food. And so they use it as code language to make it to where other people who they're not in on it, they don't understand it, they are not understanding that they're using code in front of you because it's a language you don't understand. Nobody has a multiple hundreds of thousands of dollar pizza party at the White House, and there's no documentation, there's no receipts of any pizza ever getting to the White House when they said they threw that pizza party. If you dig around, you find yourself in all kinds of rabbit holes, and it sounds like these things aren't connected, but they are connected. And people are waking up. We are in the astrological age of Aquarius right now, which means that the truth come to fruition, and all of the things that have been facades, the curtain will finally open, and everything will be exposed, and then hopefully mass hysteria does not happen. Hopefully people would be in their right mind to go, okay, yeah, we just can't let this happen anymore. Instead of freaking out and panicking, you know, don't panic. Don't be scared. Don't be afraid. You know, everything's going to be okay as long as we stick together as people and put aside all of our arbitrary differences and come together to fight an ancient evil. You know, because this is ancient. It is a battle between light and dark, you know, kind of like Star Wars, basically, but without, you know, the Force. But even though there is types of supernatural magics and whatnot and spiritual energy that we have been dulled of, you know, the fluoride in our water, the GMOs in our food, everything has been done to mute out our power, you know, so that we aren't feeling that we're strong enough. Why do you think depression is at the highest rates ever? You know, why do people feel so physically weak? You know, why is chronic disease and chronic sickness at an all-time high? It's because they're intentionally weakening us and using marketing schemes with colorful colors and happy music and enticing ads to get us to believe that these things are good for us, that we should be consuming those things. And that's how they continue to be able to weaken us, because bred in circus, you'll never revolt. But not only is it bred in circus, and the circus is, you know, reality TV, social media doom scrolling, TikTok influencers, the latest trends and stuff like that they want to like create and say this is going to be the next big thing because it has this to it. They seem to be interested in this thing over here, so let's create this other thing that's similar to that thing, so that we're always keeping humans distracted. The more that we're distracted, the more that we are made sick, the more that we have to work constantly to provide for ourselves, our children, our animals, medical bills, all kinds of stuff. So even if you don't end up having any kind of chronic illness, maybe your pet does, or maybe your child does, or maybe your parent does, or a sibling or something. We all know somebody. If it's not ourselves, we all know somebody that, and I have chronic sickness stuff as well. I mean, hereditarily passed down to me. And the things that humans consume on a daily basis, all it does is make that worse for me. So all these things are connected. They want to mute you out. They want to destroy us. They want us to just be so sick we can't revolt. Revolt how? I don't know. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I have no idea. But all I know is it does keep us down. It keeps us down forever. And, you know, that's the thing that people don't understand is this is an attack on all of us. You know, they think, oh, it's left versus right. No, because we're all in the same boat, you know? All those people out there that, you know, hate us because we voted for Trump, and all the people who voted for Trump that hate everybody who voted for Biden and Kamala and stuff, we have more in common than we think we do. It's that we are all slaves to the system that is actually harming us all. We all have that in common. We should actually be being friends, you know, but the bread and circus distracts us and also further segregates us from one another to where we never end up looking at the real stuff. And those who do look at the real stuff are called crazy crackpot conspiracy theorists. You know, I'm not going to come on here and say the earth is flat, you know, unless I saw actual evidence that the earth is flat. I don't believe that because everything in space has some type of spiral or spherical shape. There are no sharp or flat objects in space. Everything seems to take on a circular or spiral format. So why would the earth be a flat plate? It doesn't make any sense. So I'm not one of those types of people. I just want to make that clear to anybody who might be thinking, oh my god, this guy is fucking insane. What is this guy talking about? I'm talking about the stuff that actually makes sense. The things that are dubbed as conspiracy theories that aren't actually conspiracy theories. We know extraterrestrial beings have been on our planet. It's even in ancient cave paintings that they were visiting ancient civilizations and providing stuff. There are designs that were made of technology thousands of years before they were even invented. Like, why is there a cell phone carved in ancient cave paintings when cell phones didn't exist at the time? Or did they? I don't know, but that's another side point. And that's what I'm saying. These aliens, that's not just a conspiracy theory. Basically, everybody in their right mind believes that now. That extraterrestrial beings are on our planet. Now, whether they're here for malicious intent or not is subject to speculation. You know, I think that there are multiple of them, and they're probably fighting their own war that we have no idea about. There is probably one type of extraterrestrial civilization that is using these types of things and creating these types of empires, like the Epstein thing and the Diddy thing and all those types of things, to keep us captivated like cattle, because they are probably trying to harvest things from us. And then there's probably a good extraterrestrial being on our planet that is trying to prevent that from happening any longer. And they're probably having their own battles that we have no idea about because they hide in the ocean. Why is it illegal to speak to dolphins? Like wild dolphins. You cannot, it is illegal. It's a felony in a lot of places to have a conversation with a wild dolphin. Why would that be illegal if they didn't have some way to speak to us? And they do. People are already rebelling against that and going, well, if I get in trouble, I get in trouble. And they go out there and these dolphins are trying to speak to them. They'll be like, mama, I know. And they're like, what is happening? You can't, they say don't talk to crows. They're probably going to work on making that illegal. I'm surprised it's not already illegal because it's like the smartest bird. Crows and ravens and stuff are the smartest birds. I'm surprised that they haven't already outlawed that. But you can't talk to dolphins. They know about extraterrestrial beings in the ocean, and they could probably tell you exactly how the extraterrestrial beings even connect to the whole Diddy and Epstein stuff. and how many people are actually in on this, because they're seeing the boats, they're seeing the islands, they're seeing the people, they're seeing the aliens under the water. All these things are connected. And if anybody thinks that I'm crazy for that, I get it. I understand this is a lot, and people probably think that I'm absolutely insane right now, but I'm not. You know, I'm just a guy. I'm just a guy that is just tired of it. I'm just tired of, like, the misinformation and everybody arguing like, oh, Trump's a pedo and, you know, MAGA's a cult and they just blindly believe everything that Trump says. No, we're pissed as fuck at him right now. You know, I don't regret my vote because, I mean, is it better than voting for who the other option was, especially when all that was rigged too? Why did Joe Biden keep changing his height? And his ear structure kept changing. I swear to God, he had some type of person that was like a stand-in for him. Because the CIA, they have these realistic masks that people can wear. Think of like the anime Lupin the Third, where Lupin gets in a disguise, and in Zenigata, the inspector that's trying to go after him because he's a thief, and he's like, I gotta arrest him. He won't know that's Lupin because he's wearing a disguise that's so good, he can't tell until he pulls it off, and he's like, oh my God, it's Lupin! That idea didn't come out of nowhere. It didn't come out of nowhere. It means the technology, at least by the time of like the late 60s into the 70s, because that's how old that anime is, that technology was already advanced enough. Think of how advanced it is in the 2020s. How many people do we see on television that are actually somebody else wearing a mask disguising as that person because maybe that person was sick, or maybe that person was pregnant, or maybe that person's dead? Like, how many times has that happened? We don't know, because it's so good we can't tell. There's even a video where Joe Biden is walking and he itches his neck, and you can see and he accidentally reveals the back of the mask while he's walking. So whoever that was at that time, that was not Joe Biden. The whole, oh, he's locked in a basement thing, it wasn't just something people were saying. I don't know if I fully believe it, but I feel like sometimes they maybe couldn't get him to an event, so they had somebody stand in for him. It wasn't always malicious, it's just it was suspicious. How did he go from being like this tall to this tall in 24 hours and then go right back? It's like, it doesn't make any sense. One of the Epstein victims said that she saw Epstein shapeshift into sort of a reptilian creature. I don't know if I necessarily believe that entirely, because the Epstein operation was drugging people, so she could have been hallucinating while on whatever she was given, like forced to take while on this island. She could have very well hallucinated that. But that just gives evidence to they were fucking with people. Now, if that was real, and if Epstein did shapeshift, that means we are dealing with aliens among us that are able to mimic our form. Not just CIA costumes and masks and stuff. I've looked into that rabbit hole because I've thought of getting some myself for cosplay purposes. Purely cosplay. Like, how awesome would it be to look like a Monster High character? Like, it's literally Frankie Stein's face or something. Or like you literally have their face. It's just, it would be cool. So, you know, looking into it, I found that it was actually a lot more advanced than I initially thought it was. And that they had been doing it for decades for secret intelligence agents to be able to sneak into places without being caught, because they would know that it was them. So there's so much. There is so much to get into. And these are conversations that I talk to with the people that I privately know in my life, and I don't tell anybody else. So, you know, what better way to get some kind of traction of like getting the word out? I want to contribute to this however I can, not for exposure or anything, but just more so the feeling of knowing that I got involved to help at least spread the word, to help wake people up. Because it's not, it sounds crazy, and it is crazy, but crazy doesn't equal false. These people have been messing with time travel. These people have been messing with reality altering. These people have been messing with timeline shifting. These people have been breaching to other versions of reality, different versions of Earth that exist in the infinite universe, and using that to their own gain. So they're not just taking people from here, they're taking people from other versions of Earth as well, different realities and whatnot, and messing with all of it. It's a big satanic scheme to keep the universe in their control, because they think that means something. But it doesn't. It doesn't really mean something, because all these people are going to die. Like, they're going to get old, they're going to pass away, and they're not going to be here anymore. But the problem lies in the fact that they keep procreating and then indoctrinating and abusing and traumatizing their own children to then continue the cycle. Because that's a cult. I don't know exactly what the cult is called in this reality, but a lot of people say Illuminati. I think that Illuminati is more so a code word to refer to it because we don't know its real name. Does it even have a real name? I have no idea, but I know that a lot of Freemason people are in it. Shaquille O'Neal is a Freemason. A lot of rap artists are Freemasons. A lot of politicians are Freemasons. You know the what is that called? I'm gonna look like an idiot because I don't know the name right now. I have so much in my brain right now that I don't. It is a medallion that presidents will like give to people and put around their neck. Kind of like a Nobel Peace Prize type thing. If you look closely at it, it has the Freemason symbolism on it. And people like Ellen DeGeneres and Oprah Winfrey and just really seemingly irrelevant names, right? That are just TV talk show hosts and stuff. They were being given these medallions like they cured cancer or something. Why? And then you look deeper, because I do know why. But it's like you look at it and go, why? Why is that happening? Why is that what's happening? Then you do the research and you go, okay, Tom Hanks's Instagram was very, very sus. People like Chrissy Teigen posting stuff on when it used to be Twitter. She would say things a lot about how she was so attracted to little girls and stuff. And it's just super, super concerning to see people of high celebrity status that people basically worship like they're gods start spouting off about how much they want to touch little children. And it's like, this is what we're dealing with. Like, you look at it and go, oh. And then you go to your list of celebrities and you scratch off another name going, oh, you know, there's that person gone off the list of people that I can support. Like, have a list of every celebrity and it be called, you know, celebrities to endorse and support. And as you keep learning things about these celebrities, all the ones that came out and endorsed Kamala, you start digging on them. They all have dirt on them. Whether they were at Diddy parties or had connections to somebody who had connections to Diddy, who had connections to Epstein, and it's just, they all are in on it. These Hollywood stars, these fucking, I just realized that that's Chucky's kid, by the way. I just did like, she just made like a little, she just video bombed me so hard. Cool. Not a Chucky fan, but I'm a fan of his kid because she/he doesn't want this type of stuff to be happening. She's like, I wouldn't hurt a fly. And it's like, yeah, me neither. But our elites, on the other hand, that's another story. The atrocities that these elites have been, like, doing to generations of children. Look up the artist Gianni. Zeani. Look up that music artist. She speaks on this stuff. She has a song called Hallowed Hills that talks about this stuff. She also has a song called Fuck the Hollywood Cult. and they are super great. Spoils of War is also another good one, and the only reason why I'm recommending this music artist to anybody watching is because she is independent. She is not signed to anybody. She makes her own music and she speaks about these things. And the reason why she doesn't have a large platform is because she does expose this type of stuff. And it's very fascinating to find a music artist who does expose these things. Because the music industry is full of satanic pedophiles. Obviously, they inject the symbolism in their music. Think about how music has evolved into this very degenerate, sexualizing, violent rhetoric, right? Analyze that for a minute. Look at that. It's on purpose. The CIA specifically had a project where they hijacked the popular music genres at the time to indoctrinate the masses. What was popular at the time? Rap. So they were like, let's cultivate this. Let's make it violent. Let's sexualize it. Let's make it normal for these things. Now you have people thinking that it's normal to teach their children to twerk on TikTok. Or take their children to drag queen shows. Or even medically transition their children. Like being trans. Let the adults make that decision, not children. Children should not be doing that. The grooming tactics, basically, is what I'm saying. The grooming tactics all tie together this big picture, because you might be thinking, oh my god, this guy's getting off topic now. But I'm not, because it's all connected. The more that they indoctrinate and groom the masses into not only normalizing things that should not be normalized, but also hating each other, the more that we are distracted. And the more that we're distracted, the more that we don't notice what they're actually doing. So they slip innuendos in movies. They slip symbolism everywhere. You know, they use sacred geometry against us, when in ancient times, good people, good religious and spiritual people, were using sacred geometry to help us. Bells all around the world have been decommissioned over many decades because bells ward off evil entities and evil spirits. They were specifically, desperately going around and decommissioning all these different big bells that were known for protecting the positive energy and warding off evil energy. This is not some conspiracy crap. It's not. People need to wake up and see that what we're dealing with is this big satanic monster. And then we're all the people going, what the fuck? Like, that's what's happening. And people are either blind to it and thinking that we're crazy for calling it out, or they see it and they go, I can't say anything about this to anybody that I love, even though I want to save them from the fire, because everybody's going to think I'm crazy. Like, there's people who literally don't talk about this because they don't want their family to disown them. Or the fear of, I don't want to disappear. You know, all of a sudden, so-and-so fell out of a window when they had no prior thoughts of suicide. One of Epstein's victims committed suicide a few months ago, even though she posted on X that she was not suicidal. And then a few weeks later, she committed suicide. Apparently, Epstein committed suicide. Why is there a minute missing in the footage of outside of his cell? When in federal prisons, cameras are everywhere. Inside the cell, too. So, actually, if they wanted to give us actual raw footage, they would have gave us footage from inside the cell. And it was poorly edited. It was cropped together. So now we're circling back to the beginning. The Trump administration has been pissing me off, severely disappointing me. I'm happy about other things, which is where it really makes me even more upset, because Trump is like, we're doing all this. It reminds me of like a narcissistically abusive parent going, after everything I've done for you and you question this specific thing over here. And it's like, because it's unrelated to all the good that you've done. Like, I gave you a house, I gave you food. Yeah, you gave me the bare minimum, and I'm grateful for that, you know, that you were at least giving me the bare minimum that everybody deserves. But it doesn't mean, you know, yeah, there's cameras inside prison cells. And I know that because I know people who've been to prison. And they're like, yeah, there are cameras everywhere. There's multiple cameras aiming at the cell. There's multiple cameras inside the cell. And everything. They would have documented Epstein sitting in his cell. I know they have that footage, and that's not what they gave us. And they gave us a poorly edited, poorly cropped version of the footage where there's an entire minute missing, and the aspect ratio changes like they were frantically trying to crop something out. It just stinks. It reeks of cover-up. Everything about it. And I'm not going to come out randomly and go, I hate Trump now because he dropped the ball on this, because everything else he's been doing has been good. The big, beautiful bill got passed, so, you know, people are going to be, you know, taking more home of the money that they gross and whatnot. And there's certain things that were in that bill that are going to help all kinds of people across the board, whether they like him or not. But this is where he really messed up. I hate that he is going about it the way that he's going about it. After everything that we're doing and we've done, and you guys are still talking about Epstein. Yeah, because you promised that you were going to reveal at least some of the names that are very important, or at least tell us it exists, that it's real, and this and that, and work on getting that out there. Something shifted all of a sudden, and that's what I really want to get to, that I think is really suspicious. All through Trump's rallying, I've watched his rallies, you know, as they're streaming and everything, and he's always been very on the nail, up front, and tells you things like it is, and he doesn't change his word. He'll even repeat something multiple times to double down and triple down on a perspective that he has. And then, all of a sudden, after Pam Bondi, Dan Bongino, however you pronounce his name, and Kash Patel messed this whole thing up with the Epstein files and the JFK, because they didn't release what they were supposed to release with that either. And I haven't heard anything about the Martin Luther King assassination stuff that they were supposed to release either. I wonder why. They probably all have the same connection. That's probably why. Oh my goodness, it's just the rabbit holes. There's too many rabbit holes. There's too many holes everywhere. There's too many holes. I don't know which one to go in next. Like, it's too much. And it's just, my critique of it is Trump's personality changed. Because he's always been like, yeah, and the children, where are those 250,000 missing children and this and that, and we got to get to this. He's always been talking about that. And then all of a sudden, he goes, you're still talking about Jeffrey Epstein, that creep? You know, like it's old news. And it's just like, why are you shifting your personality all of a sudden? Like, I want to sit across from him at a table and go, do you realize that you just literally changed your personality in front of the world? Like, you flipped a switch. And just with that 60 seconds worth of speaking that he did, the entire voter base for Trump was like, what's this dude talking about? And now we're all mad at him. It's like being mad at somebody who, like, never fucks up, and then they fuck up, but they fuck up big time. Like, the one time they mess up, it's big time. And you're just like, dude, what the hell? What are you doing? Like, and then they're like, you can't be mad at me because look at everything that I've done right. It doesn't work like that, Donald Trump. It does not work like that. If you do things good and you slip and you mess up, it is our duty as the voters, as the people who actually live in this country on a daily basis, and there are more of us than there are of elites. We can call you out on that, especially because we voted you in. We voted for you, and you're messing up. So obviously, like, right, like let's say, I know it's not the same thing as a child, but let's say you have a kid, and your kid is, well-rounded, well-behaved. They don't do anything wrong, and then all of a sudden they really mess up. Like they get frustrated at school and hit somebody. And you're like, "Whoa. What is this change of behavior all of a sudden?" And you would try to understand where they're coming from and why they're doing it, and try to make it to where that doesn't happen again, because you care about them doing the right thing. That's how I feel about Trump right now, except he's not my child. He's the president of the United States. He represents the voters. He represents the people, because we mandated, he was voted in on mandate to do what he promised. No tax on overtime, no tax on tips, making it to where people get more child tax credit during tax returns time in the beginning of every year, that we get back more. And, so we actually have a better society. Let's decrease inflation and make gas affordable so people can actually drive to their jobs again, and really help lower prices of stuff. And he's doing all of that. So I'm not complaining about those things. And it's weird that he thinks that people calling out the blundering of the Epstein thing as everything else being messed up. I don't know why he's treating it like that. That's a complete personality shift from him, to be honest. It was a little jarring to watch him change up like that. It literally seemed like some sleeper agent was clicked in his head, and all of a sudden he's like running on new code. Because he had been talking about that for years, saying it's bound to come out, it's got to come out, we got to get this out, because for the sake of the victims, justice must be served, and all kinds of stuff. Even before he was ever president, he was even saying stuff like that. Like before he was president for his first term, anyway, he had been talking about it, and even specifically told people why he stopped being friends with Epstein, which I said at the beginning of the stream is that he caught him with underage women, like underage girls, and was like, "Not on my watch, get the hell out of here." So if he knew all that, why would he switch up all of a sudden and like act like it's not important? And what a lot of people are saying, like a really good one is Blair White. She is a trans woman that is Trump voter, but she's very critical on things and stuff like that. She made a very good point, saying it's just because of how deep it goes. How deep it goes into secret society stuff, the deep state, the cabal, all of these different things that are connected. People don't want the list to get out because it will temporarily, severely collapse our systems. But a lot of people beg to question, is that the right thing to do? Drop a red pill, see what breaks down and remains. That's actually a line from a Gianni song. Where it's like, maybe we have to sacrifice certain aspects of our system in order to have the system that we, the people, deserve. And I'm not talking about socialism, I'm not talking about communism, I'm not talking about anarchy. I don't know what necessarily I'm talking about. Maybe a new government type that just doesn't even exist yet. Something that isn't ran by satanic pedophiles. Like, imagine a world. I'm gonna leave it with this, because I should probably get to an end of this for now anyway. But imagine a world. You wake up in the morning, the sun is shining through your window, unless you don't like the sun shining and then you have blackout curtains, okay? But the sun is shining outside, whether you can see it from inside or not, and you wake up in your bed, and you go out to your garden in your backyard, and your neighbor comes and knocks on your door like, "Hey, yeah, I'll trade you these plants that I have from my garden for some of your plants in your garden." And when you go to work, everybody's friendly, everybody's getting along. You don't hate your boss, you don't hate HR, you don't hate the CEO of the company, because he's a good guy, and he's actually he's even your friend, and he comes over for dinner sometimes on some weekends and hangs out with your family, and and everybody, not everybody knows everybody, but everybody knows that everybody knows somebody that knows somebody So everybody's kind of connected in a certain sense, and whether we still have the internet at the time, that would probably still be a thing. But, you wouldn't have, like, comment hate wars and people making personal jabs at each other and, being a bunch of phobes of everything. Like, it's not even like a homophobia or transphobia. I mean, there's even straight phobia, there's white phobia, black phobia. Everybody's hating each other for everything. But imagine a world where you don't have any of that. You don't have any of those problems. I'm not saying it's going to be some kind of perfect utopia where nobody does any wrongdoing. You're always going to have people coming out there being a crazy person trying to commit crime. But you would greatly decrease the percentage of crime that would be committed if only the system itself was better. They say, oh, defund prisons. No. Keep those there. But let's change other dynamics of the system. Let's work from the top and down. Why are we working from the bottom up? Because it doesn't work like that. We've already proven time and time again, with the BLM riots and all the different things that have happened in the past 5 years to try to dismantle certain aspects of the system. They're going about it the wrong way, in the wrong order, for the wrong reasons, and they're working from the bottom up. We need to actually go, okay, who's at the top? Who's highest in charge? What are they guilty of? What have they been doing? What are their connections to Diddy? What are their connections to Epstein? And what can we do about that? What can we, the people, do about that? Because there's more of us than there are of them. If enough people woke up and was like, hey, yeah, we could band together and do something about this. Yeah, we can do that. Then surely the good things about our system would remain. So you wouldn't be losing everything. People think that it would just be an all-out anarchy, like it would be like The Purge 24/7, if you've ever watched the Purge movies. No, if we do it right, we will be fine. It's them that won't be fine. Like, who cares about Ellen DeGeneres? She wore a shirt that was referencing Frazzle Drip, the video on the dark web that has Hillary Clinton skinning the face of a child off. Because it's got the face on it, and then on the shirt it says, ah, on the fucking sleeves. Look up Ellen DeGeneres bloody shirt, or Ellen DeGeneres Frazzle Drip shirt, and you might see it come up. And it's just like, why do they flaunt it? Why do they flaunt that? Why does Balenciaga do BDSM things, like advertisements, like BDSM garments with children in the photos? Why do they do things in front of our face and act like we're just gonna be like, yep, that's normal? Because it's not. It's not normal. It might be common in their industry, but it's sure as hell not normal. And we deserve a better world. We, the people, deserve to be able to bring children into this world knowing that the only thing that they would have to worry about is maybe somebody at their school bullying them. Like, how hard is it to get that? There are so many people who are like, yeah, I'm not having children. Not in this economy. Not in this system. You have people living their whole lives going, man, I wish I could have kids. I wish I could feel that the system is safe enough for me to have children. Like, that's where we're at right now. I want people to be able to go, yeah, I feel like great about the idea of having children and carrying on my bloodline, knowing that I'm leaving them in a world that is amazing and has such great potential. A lot of people start getting very pessimistic, though, so I want to close it out with something very positive. A lot of people, when they start getting into this conspiracy stuff and whatnot, because I'm not going to say conspiracy theories, because if you look enough, you can basically confirm these things are true. That, like, look up the stuff about Baphomet and child sacrificing and adrenochrome and stuff like that, and how it's connected to Epstein. Something just fell, sorry. But, it's all connected. But I'll leave you with a happy note. Some kind of better, positive kind of thing to be left with is I actually lost my train of thought. Get out of my head. I'm gonna know. Somebody's altering my brain code. I'm kidding. But you know what I'm trying to say is like, okay, I remember what I was saying now. A lot of people, when they start getting into the conspiracy rabbit hole stuff and whatnot and finding out the truth of the world, they become very pessimistic and depressed. I know it's stressful. To say that this stuff doesn't stress me out would be a lie. Because it does. It stresses you out to know that these are the people in power that control our world. They control our money. They control everything. It's stressful. You don't have to be depressed about it. You know you're a good person. You know, and whatever way that you believe in God, good on you. I'm spiritual. I like to go directly to the source. But if you need like an organized religion to identify with, I respect that. Because, hey, you're trying. You're at least trying to grab onto the light however you can, and I respect that so strongly. So a lot of people, when they go into this, they get scared. They get depressed. They go, oh, and the world sucks, and it's such a terrible world. And no, society ran by the elites, the satanic pedophiles that run everything. That's the ugly part. The trees are beautiful. The animals are beautiful. The sky is beautiful. This planet is beautiful. Life is beautiful. Life is the greatest gift that could ever be, ever. Just existence itself is the greatest gift of the highest order. Okay? So the very fact that you're existing right now, living, breathing on this planet, in this dimension, in this specific reality, in the infinite universe, that is no coincidence. You are here for a purpose. Whether you have realized your purpose or not, you're here and you are important. So don't feel like, oh man, all this is happening, so I should just give up, right? No. You live your light. Live your truth. Be empowered in your light. Empower others. Get other people to wake up into their light. Because the more that we cling to our light, the brighter that we all shine. Because our lights have been dimmed by these satanic cabals for way too long. And if we all put aside our differences and go, okay, let's agree to disagree with these things. Because there are things that are a lot more important than the arbitrary concepts that all of our different demographics of people argue about on a daily basis. I keep thinking that most arguments people get into now are completely arbitrary and pointless. Like, what's the point? Because we have other things that are bigger stakes here that we are all affected by. Like, we should not be enemies. Love thy neighbor, whether it's in person or digitally. On the internet, we're all neighbors to each other, because we're all in the cyberspace together, interacting and existing. And the fact that you exist is a blessing. Take advantage of that blessing. Don't take it for granted. Because if you take it for granted and you dim your light or allow your light to be dimmed, then the cabal wins. Do you get what I'm saying? Don't be scared, or I would say be scared but be brave, because bravery means you're afraid but you do it anyway. So be brave, empower yourself, help others, help yourself, be a good person, activate that light inside of yourself and don't ever let anybody dim it ever again. Because we have very evil people that run our world. But as long as we keep shining anyway, other people will then start to shine too. And then you've got the whole city, the whole state or province. Then you have the whole country. Then you have whole continents. And then the whole planet glowing and radiating with positive energy. That is the true rebellion. Not trying to burn cities down. But for us to go, we're not going to listen to you guys anymore. We're going to love, we're going to help, and we're going to do exactly what Jesus was doing. Walking the earth, helping each other, building each other up, building up communities and actually respecting one another, regardless of our differences and similarities, that we all deserve a baseline amount of respect and empowerment within ourselves. You know, if we could build up that type of community, we would be unstoppable. That's the true rebellion. People think that we should burn this stuff down. No, in a spiritual way, the evil will burn down because our light will be so bright they can't shut it off anymore. It's not crazy. So I'm very glad that people are waking up to this, because it was bound to happen. I was waiting so long for this to happen. So many years I have been waiting for people to wake up to this. So don't dim your light. Don't allow anybody to dim your light. Don't allow anybody in these elitist positions to distract you and fill you with darkness. Because the more that we shine, the more that others begin to shine. You know, so that's my closing statement. You know, I don't want people to be pessimistic and depressed about everything that's going on. I want people to look at it and go, hey, our system is ran by very terrible people, but we can rise above by being great and spreading good energy and doing good, you know, in whatever way that, you know, that is for you. You know, helping each other, building community, spreading light, spreading love, spreading the frequency and energy that is so strong that the cabal can't stop it. We may never see the Epstein list, but we can pretty much guarantee that the people that are in power are all involved in some kind of way. Whether it's directly with the children or just with adults or just with money laundering, they're all on it. They're all in on it. Both sides, they're all in on it. And we don't have to listen to them anymore. You know, listen to your neighbors. You know, say hi to your neighbors. Talk to people in public. You know, spread the word of, you know, whatever God you believe in, and respect, you know, like, well, because I mean, the energy of God is in every religion. Whether you know, worship through Christian means or through Muslim means and whatnot, we're all actually worshiping the same energy at the end of the day. It's just you pick a different organized religion to access it. Build on that. Take that and own that and build on it, because that is what they are terrified of. It's why they keep trying to squash the energy of God. But you can't squash the energy of God. You can only squash mortal beings being able to connect to the energy of God. But if they're connected to the energy of God and they strengthen that, you can't stop them. So allow yourself to be unstoppable, and that will be how they will fall. Do not trust the government anymore, regardless of where you live in the world. Do not trust the government. Trust yourself. You know, trust yourself to do the right thing, and, you know, help others do the right thing. That will be the only way that we can fight against this ancient, thousands of years evil. We are the light. We are light. That's why they control us the way that they control us. But don't be pessimistic about it. Be an optimist. Have hope. And believe that, hey, this will come to an end, and we will all have a better life. The system will evolve into a better thing once it's actually in our hands. You know, because we are the light. We are the people that actually matter. We are the majority. You know, regardless of your demographic, regardless of your gender, your sexuality, your ethnicity, religion, culture, or whatever, we are all the light. So own that. Own that light and spread that light. That is power. So that's all I have to say about that. So I guess until next time I decide to go live or whatever. But yeah.